Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew Built Conicals. You can trust Brew Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew Built at morebeer.com.
Great beer is about drinkability. Doesn't matter the style.
You guys are like walking beer Wikipedia. That's the first time that you've ever accepted me as a person.
Or you have a fermentation in your gut.
I'm jet propelled at all times.
How many guys do you think that you have the privilege to slap?
Somebody who's never tasted a commercial example, and this is how you know everything about this beer? Please, you don't.
I think that's bullshit.
I think it's bullshit too.
Wow. Are you guys going to arm wrestle?
No.
They're going to teabag fight instead.
Yeah. You heard of Junkyard Wars?
Can I get another high five, Beavis?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today on The Session. We have another good one for you. We have Rowley Farmhouse Ales from Santa Fe, New Mexico. What's going on, fellas? Thanks for joining the show today.
Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We got John and Tyler. John, you are the brewmaster, and judging by your last name, I'm assuming you're one of the owners.
That's correct. We are both owners in this business.
Tyler, all right, and Tyler's an owner too. Nice, good job. So,
Tyler's an owner, and he's been with me since the beginning.
I love it.
And we have a few of us in the ownership realm, if you will. But it's not about that. It's about the beer.
It's about the beer. Yeah, but I do like brewers, getting a little bit and getting their hands dirty in the business side of things. I like that. I think it's nice.
Yeah, you have to.
A vested interest and
because it's such backbreaking work. Yeah, well, it's a ton of work, man. And like I wonder if that's sort of shifting now since there's so many small breweries and because I think 10, 15 years ago I probably wasn't really done a whole lot, you get hired as a brewer on a place and you're busting your ass for $30,000 or whatever. And then but now there's, I think there's more with the rise. And I don't know why I started to talk about this. It just came out. So I apologize. It's a really weird way to start the show, but it's sort of like that family, concept in craft beer. Like the larger it gets, the more sort of like focused internally it gets, I think too. And so you have a lot of companies treating their employees very well. You have a lot of people, coming in like that. I don't know. Anyway, I noticed it. I thought it was cool, so I wanted to talk about it. It was a good tangent. Yeah, it wasn't really. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so John, you guys are longtime listeners of the Brewing Network.
Longtime listeners. Yeah, I've been going at this a long time. I haven't done as much recently, unfortunately.
Oh, home brewing or listening to the show or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both actually. Yeah, I haven't homebrewed in a long time now.
Good. Either of
us. The last one I did was a barley wine with my buddy Paul and his dead wife Chantal.
Oh,
that's sad. I know, but she died from the cancer.
Yeah.
We do a beer in her honor every year. Actually, we're going to brew it pretty soon. It's a raspberry saison. They won medals with as homebrewers.
Okay, nice. So that's a nice tribute.
Yeah, I don't have time to homebrew really anymore.
No,
which is it's okay. We have a lot of beer. Beer is not an issue at this point in our lives.
Yep.
I don't have time to homebrew
300 gallons in the same time you make 5.
Damn, dude, that's a weird flex. I don't have time to homebrew either, but mainly because I'm at the store buying it, and that's really
that's part of it too. Is nowadays, like when I started homebrewing. I mean, there was not a lot of options. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you wanted to drink, really cool beer. It wasn't there. Mm-hmm. There was nothing in the marketplace that I really was like, if I wanted to drink like crazy saisons, which is kind of my passion, I could drink DuPont, which is good.
Yeah. But
if I wanted to mix fermentation saison in 2009, commercially speaking,
especially in New Mexico.
Yeah. In New Mexico distribution sucks fucking dick.
Okay, great. Let's go.
How do you really feel?
No, I mean, it's a lot better now. But when I started homebrewing, we couldn't get shit. Well, it was weird because New Mexico distribution in the early 2000s was solid. We were getting Cantillon, we were getting Dre Fontaine. The whole Shelton package was moving. Mm-hmm. I don't know who was buying it, but it was there. And then all of a sudden, there was a beef between the company that was bringing it in and Shelton, which probably is fairly usual, not unusual, but usual.
Okay.
And then they went away, and I was finding like Iris on shelves, and
wow.
Like, oh, okay, I'm going to buy that for $3 or whatever it was. Not $3, more like $7 or $8. But it's like, oh, I'm going to buy that. And then all of a sudden that all dried up, and then we were just like, we got to figure something out.
Yeah.
And so we started homebrewing, and the homebrewing community here at the time that I started was really vibrant. It was crazy. We had a really active club. The club really picked our club here is called the Sangre de Cristo Craft Brewers. I was the president for a long time, so I'm intimately familiar with the club. But in the early days, it was kind of the Baca Brothers drinking club to give beer to their cousins.
Oh, sure.
And Santa Fe Brewing would let us do meetings in the back, and it was really just a kind of let's get drunk and our wives will let us go to this because it's homebrewing club and not like hanging out at the bar.
Yeah, it's sort of like the modern like bowling night.
Yeah, bowling night. Oh, yeah. We sorry, honey, we've got a club meeting.
Yeah,
at Santa Fe Brewing, we're going to be in the back. We're going to be talking about homebrewing, and the wives just like immediately turn off.
Yeah, they go, do whatever you want. We'll see you in 12 years.
They're like, whatever, dude. Shut up, get out of here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you tell them, I'm going to the bar with my buddies, we're going to shoot some pool, we're going to do shots, we're going to drink. They don't want to hear that. No. They don't want to hear that. So the Baca Brothers, who were the kind of the originators of the modernish version of the club. So way back in the day, there was a homebrew club here called the Grainful Heads.
Oh yeah, Grainful
Heads.
Bless. Okay,
they were
love it.
They were kind of the '90s and aughts version of a homebrewing club here in Santa Fe, and a lot of those guys got old. They stopped brewing. They moved on, and then all this that club died. Then the Baca Brothers came out. There was Gerald and Mark Baca. And Gerald was a guy we called Stumpy. He had one arm. He had an arm removal accident in a jet skiing incident. Yeah, so he could still manage to brew in a bag.
Yeah. Well, hey man.
And him and his brother made solid beer, but they were kind of the next generation of the homebrew clubs because they were trying to have a place to drink all their homebrew. Because you make a lot of homebrew, you need a place to drink it.
Sure.
I mean, you need a solid alcoholic friend or group of friends.
Yeah. So are you saying that they would just come and offload beer and like not tell anybody about anything, or was it a positive experience?
These were club meetings, and people would show up and they would be excited to drink. It was mainly their cousins at first, but then people caught on. They're like, "Oh, we got a homebrewing club in Santa Fe again. Let's do it." And so that's kind of when I got involved.
Okay.
And we actually took it to an AHA type of club and got our shit together, got insurance. And
oh, wow. Damn, that's when you're legit, when you have to buy insurance to talk about beer.
We still have insurance. I'm not involved in the club as much anymore. I'm definitely not a president anymore by any means.
I hope not. I'm not really involved in. I'm still the president, but I don't really do anything.
I don't know what they're doing. I haven't talked to them.
No, this year was tough in the club. We couldn't have meetings.
Yeah, sure, dude.
They tried like did a few like over.
There was a Zoom meeting or two, and then we had like taste professional beer kind of thing one time. I don't know if they did a lot of those.
That's hard to do though. Yeah. I mean, you could do like classes or do lectures about style lectures or whatever, but that's hard. Everyone's in Zoom meetings anyways for work probably, so it's like no one wants to do it. So that's tough.
I don't want to do it. I mean, we're here with you. That's different.
Sure.
But if you're having to do that every day, day after day after day, people are just like, fuck me, shoot me now, get me over. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So the homebrewing, in the 10s through 15 range was pretty lively in Santa Fe. It's slowed down because all these breweries opened and there's a lot more beer in the marketplace, and distributors started picking up new brands, and they actually started moving beer. And, it's difficult now to be a home brewer because there's so many options.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to brew something like really unique, you can still, but there's so many fucking crazy beers on the marketplace that are in the marketplace that people don't really need to homebrew as much. It's work. You got to clean your shit. You got to spend a lot of money on water, and
you got to learn it, which is the hardest barrier to entry for a lot of homebrew stuff. And you're right, because you can do a lot of weird styles. But I'm finding, and I think a lot of the commercial beers are sort of bearing it out, that I don't think people are interested in the weird styles anymore. We're pushing lagers now
within reason. Good lager, that's hard to beat. We're drinking one right now. But if you're making, like, if you're into that's a hard style to brew, because there's no room for error.
Yep.
There's no crystal malts or any roast malts or crazy esters to hide your fuck ups.
Right.
And so, you can't really make mistakes with lager. You have to do it right, or it tastes like shit.
Absolutely. Which I think where guys like you can step in, craft brewers can make good lagers for people to drink. So then these home brewers can go and, like I brewed a mild with Kveikis. You're not going to find a commercial brewer doing that.
No.
And it was
that's
good.
Rare. I bet you could find one in a unique place, but I don't think it's a normal thing.
Yeah. Look, if it doesn't come across my radar, then I don't know. Then it doesn't exist. And that's basically how I live my life.
That's
also,
a good way to put it.
Yeah. Also, I don't go looking for it. So I can't ever know. So it makes me feel good, on two levels. You have a good point about
the Peaky Blinders
about brewing, or having a hard time getting styles, especially like funky styles. When I was first drinking in like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was like going to Bevmo and getting a porter that's been on the shelf, like the dust on what you can go like this and run your finger down it and you can get dust on your finger. But this is what you paid for $5.95 and it sucked. But just what that's what you do. But nowadays,
that was kept warm on a shelf and there's a California ale type of beer. Maybe not a good idea.
No, definitely not a good idea. Yeah. So tell me your journey here to open a brewery. When did you know that you wanted to open?
So I think what really happened was I was listening to you guys, and I heard a session with Jester King. And at first I couldn't believe it. This guy's name was Ron Extract. I'm like, that's a bullshit name. There's nobody named Ron Extract.
Yeah.
That's a made up homebrewer name.
Yeah. And Alfred Mini Mash. That's right.
Yeah. No one's going to name their son Extract. Maybe they do. Maybe that is a real name. And if it is his real name, I apologize.
Yeah. Well, you should change it, to be honest, to avoid confusion like this.
Well, whatever it was. And him and Jeffrey Stuffings were on the session and they were talking about their beer, and I was kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This guy is named Extract, and they're making kind of funky beer in Texas. And at the time, I really didn't care for Texas. Texas has a weird relationship with New Mexico. We have a lot of Texan visitors here. The tourism is a big thing in Santa Fe, especially.
I'm sorry.
But in New Mexico as a whole, it's fine. At the time I was less tolerant of Texans. I didn't know them. I was like, and things you don't know, you kind of eschew it a little bit. You're like, I don't know that. I'm not going to be happy about it. And I've heard all these weird things about Texans being assholes and being stupid people. I heard your guys talk with Jeffrey Stuffings and Ron Extract, and they were talking about all this cool funky beer. They had a mild that they had brewed with funky mixed fermentation characteristics with their house culture.
Sounds good to me.
They had some other cool shit. They were talking about this beer, Atrial Rubicite, which at the time I had never had, and it was a raspberry mix fermented farmhouse ale, barrel aged. And at the time I was really into making those kind of beers, but I wasn't at that level by any means. I was competing, making, spontaneous kind of apricot beer was another one I did at that time, and things like that. They were more known for like I was kind of enthused by Cantillon and Dre Fontaine.
Sure.
And I couldn't really do those beers on a large scale. I was doing them at home and, very, 5-10 gallon batches, and they were okay. But then when I heard your guys' show, I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to go drive down there and I'm going to try this beer for myself. Because there was no way to try it. I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah. You can't order it online.
No, this was well before that. Any of that.
Yeah.
Even now, I don't think Texas would ever allow that.
No,
Texas
probably not.
Texas is a cocksucker state when it comes to.
Well, they're all about freedom, John. They're all about the freedom to do what you want, as long as it's within a small package of things, of options that you could do.
That's possible, and but when it comes to beer, they're not.
No,
they're very limited in what you can do there, and they're very strict about label control. And
they're too angry
and all that. That's fine. Whatever.
They're too angry.
So,
they need to relax a little bit.
They need to relax, but so I went down there. I decided I read online that they're doing this atrial rubicite release. I'd heard about it on your show. I'm like, I'm going to go check this beer out, and I went down there. I drove down there and I brought like 5 or 6 cases of beer from Santa Fe Brewing as a gift. And, I used to spend a lot of time there helping them out, and we homebrewed there all the time. They used to have a cool program called Small Batch Saturdays, where they would open the brewery in the back. It was a party. We could bring our homebrewing equipment, and they'd provide all the water.
Yeah, it was cool.
PBW,
wow.
All that kind of stuff. All the, stuff you didn't really want to pay a lot for, but you needed.
Sure. Like yeast and grain and hops.
No, they wouldn't really pay for that
propane,
unless you were brewing a special beer for them.
Okay.
So you had to go to the store and buy your own stuff. But the chemicals, hot water.
It was nice to have hot water on demand as a home brewer.
Yeah,
for sure.
180 degree water on tap, get your day started a lot easier than having to boil it.
Yeah.
You could wash out all your kettles. It was nice. You get going really quick. You're mashed in less than an hour. Whereas at home, you probably take your time cleaning everything and working through it just a little slower.
Oh yeah.
But you're brewing with a group of people. You're brewing with like 5 or 6 dudes from the club. People are coming in and out. There's locals in the front that are coming to the back to hang out. And, it was kind of like a wild, wild west of homebrewing.
Okay.
And we had a great time. The club was really, very integrated into that time frame. So we were doing events there. We were homebrewing there every Saturday, pretty much. They were giving us discounts on beer in the front. If you wanted to buy, their normal draft beer, you could buy whatever they had. We could have bottle share type of things before bottle shares were a thing in the back. And, you got to know a lot of people. It was really a kind of a seminal time for me, in terms of homebrewing. It was very social. It's way better than being at your house and brewing alone, and maybe your dipshit neighbor Eddie comes over for a beer, and you don't want to really talk to him. He's like, oh God, Eddie's here, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it was really a
brew in your garage, no ventilation, just
I brewed a lot of batches in my garage, probably over 200 batches in my garage, and I would say the batches at Santa Fe Brewing were always way more fun.
Sure. Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Way more fun.
Yeah.
We just had a good time there. It was good. It was kind of fun.
So what happened? How did you ruin it by making it a business?
Yeah. Give you a TLDR there.
So yeah, sorry, I went off on a tangent. So I got to Texas. Right. I met Jeff Stuffings.
We got time to fill, John. It's fine. Keep going.
And I was hanging out there, and at first he was a little standoffish. I brought him a bunch of beer. He's like, you know what? I've got to do this thing right now, but I'm going to hand you off to these locals. And then when I'm done, I'll circle back to you. And so he brought me over to this table. It was actually like 6 or 7 picnic tables in a row. And there was probably like 36 to 45 people there, something like that. Local Texans that, I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
Never met a single one of them. And Jeff's like, hey, John is my friend. I never met the guy, so I'm not really his friend.
So he's a liar. You're calling Jeff Stuffings a liar.
Not necessarily, but he was smoothing it out for me.
Yeah, sure.
And he's like, hey, I want you guys to treat him like you would treat me and show this guy a great time. He's from Santa Fe Brewing. Give him a good time until I get back. And we bottle shared with these people for like an hour. And, they were all very friendly and they really kind of blew my stereotype away of the Texas people. And, maybe part of that is Austin versus Dallas or, Beaumont, Texas.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But, it was really a kind of that started that day really well. And then when he came back, we actually went into the back and pulled nails in his barrel room, which at the time was not very impressive. It was like an old garage that they had spray foamed, and he still had like 100 barrels in there. But, I had this amazing experience pulling nails with him, and it was like, wow, this is what professional brewing is. I mean, my garage, I have like 5-gallon barrels or, maybe 3 or 4 of them. I have this tiny little setup, and it's like, oh, wow. It's almost emasculating in a way, but not really.
Sure.
Because you got to try all of this cool shit. And it's like, wow, okay, this is what brewing really can be. Not just the stupid piddly shit in my garage, but
right.
And, no offense to homebrewers that have a small garage setup. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. But I mean,
you didn't have a very small garage setup.
I actually had a fairly impressive garage setup, but at the same time, it's like, okay, what can you actually do in your garage versus what you can do in a real brewery?
There's a limit.
A real barrel room, and you have actually the budget to buy barrels and do, batches with 4 to 5 barrels at a time, or, it's a lot different.
Sure.
The scale really, really makes a difference. And so, the guy fed me like 6 glasses of atrial rubicite. He gave me a case of atrial to go home with. And I had bought a couple bottles too. I think you could buy 3 bottles at the time.
Damn.
And I was like mind blown by this shit. I was like, I was burping the whole way home. Like, oh my God, and he talks about this sense of place. And I got that like immediately, like, oh, wow. That whole experience brought me to, like, every time I kind of burped, I thought of his place. And
wow, how romantic.
Maybe that's a little weird, but at the same time, it really does. That beer really did speak to me. I'm like, okay, at that point, before that, I was like, you know what, fuck being a professional brewer. That's too much work. And I've got a good job. I don't really need to do that. And, do you want to lose the passion for beer, turning it into a business?
I mean, that's a common story, and
that is a common story,
and you heard it on the shows too, even before COVID. Right?
That was a big fear. It's like, okay, do I change something I'm really into work?
Yeah,
and honestly, we've done it. We're coming up on our 5th year, and I wouldn't change a thing. This has been a great experience for me. It's been a great experience for Tyler. It's been a great experience for everyone that's involved with our business, I think. And, we try to keep it fun. We try to keep it light, and we have a good time. And, we're not abusing things. We're not being dicks. We're just trying to say, okay, beer is fun. Let's have fun with it. Sure. Let's make beer that we want to drink and that other people will enjoy to drink as well.
Mm-hmm. So you're coming up on 5 years. Is that this year, 2021?
Yeah, our 5th year anniversary will be in the Labor Day weekend. So we opened Labor Day weekend 2016.
Nice. Wow. Okay. So, awesome.
We've been at it for a little bit.
Nice. How's the community been receiving you in Santa Fe? I don't know anything about it. I imagine it's a very tiny town, almost village-esque. So there's probably no other brewery.
But Santa Fe is about 80,000 people. Okay. So it's not tiny, but it's not village tiny.
Yeah.
but it's not. It's definitely not huge.
Yeah.
I mean, how many breweries are here? 7.
So yeah, I think 7.
That's
Seven.
a lot, man.
So it's a fair amount. It's not like Bend or anything like that.
No.
But I think we have a really tight beer community. A lot of that comes from the Sangre de Cristo craft brewers and Santa Fe Brewing, and they've kind of brought a lot of people up along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And our other breweries, Second Street, and used to be called Blue Corn. They've been around a long time. Now they're Hidden Mountain. Is that right?
Yeah.
Those guys have been 20 plus year breweries in our town. They mean a lot, I think. There's a couple of smaller ones too. We had a homebrew shop for a while. He left. He was our head brewer at start. Then he moved to open his own place after about a year, called Beer Creek, and they have got a great little community down where they're at. I think a lot of this is like supporting a local area. So you have our neighborhood. People come out. They want to get out. They want to have a good time.
They walk over. They're like, oh, we love having
a brew pub right next to our house. Yeah. And, that means a lot,
Yep.
And I think that cycles back to the way America used to be pre-prohibition.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little brewery in every town. People go to hang out. They have a couple beers. They have a good time. They back then, no cell phones, talk to their neighbors.
No, it never happened. Yeah. Come on. Right? There's always been cell phones, dude. Don't freak me out like that. It's not okay.
Our philosophy is kind of just come out, put your phone down, talk to someone, have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler, what about you, man? How did you get hooked up with John?
Through the Homebrew Club, actually.
Okay.
They started doing a local competition. And before that, I was homebrewing. I was enjoying it myself. My friends were enjoying it. Really interested in worrying about metals or, seeing how any of that worked.
What kind of homebrewer is that? That's
right.
Stupid.
That's,
What are you talking about?
I'll do my own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when there was a local competition, I was like, yeah, sure. I'll,
try it out. See what your beer is.
I'll submit some beer. I'll help them out. Meet some local homebrewers. I was on the email list for a while, and there were some interesting characters fighting at the time. So I was like, I'm going to avoid these people for a little bit.
Who was fighting?
There was drama.
Yeah.
I love homebrewer drama. I mean,
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
You know who's fighting. I'll tell you later.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, all right.
We don't want to call him out publicly.
No, we don't want to do that.
We've alienated enough of JP's audience with that.
Well, yeah, we have one person listening live, and it's Chris Rogers calling John a liar.
Chris Rogers is a friend of mine. He's also a friend of yours.
Yeah,
at least in a BN sense.
He's calling you a liar because you said your favorite style was a saison. He goes, that's a lie. It's English barley wine.
Well, he wants me to talk about barley wine.
Of course he does.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he likes barley wine quite a bit. He likes shitty barley wine.
No, he's a shitty homebrewer. What do make shitty homebrew?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Chris, because I didn't want to enter competitions, but yeah. So I entered that first competition. I got best in IPA, and then
wow,
I think you won the bronze overall.
I like how
the bronze overall or honorable mention.
I like how John knows more about your homebrewing metals than you do.
Right.
I have a good memory, and I remember a lot of stuff. And I won the best of show that year, and he won the third best of show.
Yeah. So okay, a little bit of
fighting on the table. And,
okay, I got you.
That's how I met Tyler. He had a killer IPA, and I know JP, you don't like IPA much.
No, they're gross.
But don't blame me. But I was young and stupid.
But, yeah, you didn't know better, man.
He didn't know better.
Yeah, there are three styles.
But IPA.
Yeah,
it was a good beer. We've actually circled back to it at the brewery, and we brewed 2 or 3 versions of the Colonel Citra. The Colonel Cashmere was another one.
Yep.
It's a double IPA.
Yes, the smash double IPA, basically.
Okay.
You have to brew IPA, whether you want to or not.
For sure.
This is America, and you got to pay your bills.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, honestly, I'm not a big hop guy either. I mean, I have very few IPAs per year.
Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like hops. It's just the higher alcohol. I would rather drink lower alcohol beers and drink more of them.
Oh that's
me.
To Chris Rogers.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why we always arm wrestle every time we.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Anyway, Tyler, so you did pretty good at this comp.
Yeah, for the first time trying one out, and started doing more and more with the club, and became friends with John, and he had us out to brew at his house, and got me into judging.
There you go.
And then I think it was you were being really shy and coy about opening a brewery, and we were driving back.
Kind of not into the idea. I thought of it, but
yeah,
we were sure. Every home, I think you get that idea with your first kit. Yeah. You're given it as free with your first homebrew kit. Is the idea to open a brewery one day?
There's like a Mr. Beer certificate that says, "Oh, you can open a brewery after you drink this."
Yeah.
Download our free PDF.
Yeah. So yeah, and basically, when it finally became a realistic thing, it's like I want to help however I can, and I'm still here. So
great.
I think we've done pretty well.
Yeah, it sounds like it, man. Well, I like to start with beer to drink on the first segment because what else am I going to do? Yeah, and I'm drinking Al Pastor.
El Pastor.
El Pastor. See, this is the Californian to me. I read it. I read it as
you're thinking of the taco.
El Pastor. I'm like, okay. First of all, I'm hungry. Second of all, I'm blind. El Pastor, which is a farmhouse style Keller beer with Sonoran white wheat.
Yes.
What is a farmhouse style Keller beer?
So Keller beer can be. It's basically an unfiltered lager of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
It can be based on any. Like if you go to the style guidelines for GABF, I don't think the BJCP guidelines are quite the same. But if you go to the GABF guidelines, we just went over this the other day because GABF entries start tomorrow, and we do a little screening every year.
Oh, wow, okay.
The Keller beer is basically an unfiltered version of a lager based on authentic German styles. So it could be like a Dunkel, it could be a German Pilsner. It could also be like a Bohemian Pilsner. What else is in that list? A Dortmunder is on their list. There's a few other ones. Ours is not quite like that because we did add Sonoran white wheat, which is a raw heirloom wheat that we buy from Arizona. And there's 2 farms in Arizona that grow the Sonoran white wheat.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Phoenix. I can't remember their name. We don't really buy from them. The farm we buy from is in Marana, which is out of Tucson.
Okay.
Just north of Tucson. They're called BKW Farms. And I think they grow the better of the two. The one that's grown in Phoenix, the Arizona Wilderness guys have used it. I'm sure a lot of breweries in the Phoenix area use it.
Yeah, I think that's where I've heard the name is Arizona Wilderness guys.
Yeah.
So I first learned about Sonoran white wheat as a home brewer. We knew this kid named Crazy Rob. And what he did was he grows all kinds of crazy shit with other farmers, and he also collects a bunch of different grains. Well, he did for a while, and then he was banging this woman in Taos, and that woman was paying for his storage fees at a storage unit.
Yeah,
and he pissed her off, and that woman foreclosed on his storage unit. So he lost like 600 pounds of all these unique grains and honeys and shit like that.
God, ain't that just the way, man?
Yeah, no. So don't if you have a sugar mama,
make sure that's one bill that you pay.
Yeah, be sure to keep her happy because you can lose all of your kit.
Yeah,
and so Crazy Rob brought over some of the Sonoran white wheat, and I was like, wow, this is really amazing. This is a high, wheat. If you take wheat berries, you taste them, they're not super flavorful. They're kind of boring most of the time. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, that tastes crunchy. It's kind of floury. It's like whatever. It's like but Sonoran white wheat, it pops. It has this unique kind of grainy. It's almost like wheat on steroids. It has a great flavor.
All right.
And apparently they used to make tortillas with it in like the 1800s. In the Sonoran Desert, into Arizona, New Mexico, probably more in Mexico than anything. But it doesn't do as well in terms of farming. You can't get as much yield per acre kind of thing, and so it kind of fell out of favor when more robust strains came around, so it really kind of lost its niche.
Gee, it's almost like I wonder if there's a parallel to that story in the beer industry. Oh, it's almost like traditional wheat is the IPA and Sonoran white wheat is lagers, and it's
you could say that sort of.
And then now it's being rediscovered and coming back in. Yeah, because
there's some farms. I mean, you have to credit hipster types for this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I credit you fully, John.
Okay, fair enough. I'm like a prototypical hipster.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe you saw my shoes, you might think so.
Yeah,
but
no, hipsters definitely are a lot of that.
Hipsters bring, they really like those kind of unique off color kind of things, and this happens to be one of them. And I before we opened, I knew about this product, and back in 2016, it was really just starting to be a thing that only a couple places had, and it still kind of is. But I know the brewers in this region have kind of embraced it a little bit. I know a lot of breweries have used it, especially in Arizona. Less here. There's a few here that have picked up on it. We use it not exclusively, but supplementary to Wireman and Crisp kind of products. We buy a lot of that more or less. But we for the raw products, we buy the BKW Farms Sonoran White Wheat. It's fantastic.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, this beer has a really good flavor. It's is the Sonoran Wheat like a little bit sweeter?
It is a little bit sweeter. It's the grains tend to be plumper than your normal wheat berries, which tend to be like almost desiccated looking.
Same.
Like brainy. Like if you look at the surface of brain, they can kind of have that kind of look that's all, inclusive a little bit.
Okay.
The Sonoran White Wheat berries tend to be plump and rich and full. And a lot of that is moisture content, not necessarily the grain itself.
Unmalted.
Okay.
But it's also unmalted. So it's not something you want to use if you're like efficiency focused.
Oh, it messes with your mash super hard.
Does it really?
It's really not.
Oh, yeah. It kills your temperature. It kills your efficiency.
Yeah, it's not great for that. But I mean, we brew farmhouse style, so we're not thinking in like efficient scientific terms. We're thinking in more of artistic kind of let's have some fun terms.
Okay. All right.
So let's I'm a scientist by day, so I want to fucking drop that shit at the brewery and I want to have a good time.
Yeah, you want to have fun.
Yeah. Brewing's about having fun. It's a hobby for me.
If it gives Tyler a bad time in the brew house, who cares? You're not there.
Yeah, that's my problem.
You just get to hear about it. You don't have to deal with it. And I feel like that's a good change. That's a good exchange.
We're going on 5 years of learning how to deal with it. So
I mean, you guys have never been really upset with me, have you?
No.
Okay. No. I'm not an asshole.
Yeah. Well, he didn't say that. He just said he wasn't upset with you.
Yeah. You bring us beer on the shitty days. So
yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. I try my best.
This beer is very good. It does have a lot of sweet qualities to it, but it is
there's a little sweetness to it.
There's a lot of complexity too in the flavors. It's not just like a one-dimensional, like unfiltered lager. And I've had Keller beer before, and it can be sort of complex because of all that, the yeast still in there or whatever's going on. But this does have a deeper layer of complexity. What kind of yeast are you using on this?
So I think that's the big part of this beer, and our head brewer Mike isn't here right now to talk about this, but because it's his day off, and I tried to get him to come out, but he's busy.
Sure.
He's trying to like keep his wife happy, which is a good thing.
I've tried that; it doesn't work.
It's not his day off.
It's not his day off. Okay, so it was supposed to be his day off. So Mike used to brew in a brewery in Virginia called Ouzelfinch, and we were lucky to get him to come out here. He had a connection with a guy named Jasper Yeast, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. I technically am not familiar with them, but other than the fact that we bought this Pastoranus lager yeast from him.
Okay.
And apparently it's a Franconian. That's why we call it El Pastor.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a Franconian yeast that was highly in favor in Germany. Yeah. I think in the
pre-World War II.
It was a normally used lager yeast. And then other things happened. World War II happened. They got decimated by the Allied forces.
Hell yeah.
Things change. And that yeast got kind of shelved.
Yeah, there was faster attenuating, lager yeasts, and they moved away from the
more
flavorful
the normal yeast at the time.
Yeah.
Harder to deal with. And then eventually these guys at Jasper found
they found a milk vial with dried yeast in it and analyzed it, and it was that yeast. It was thought to be lost to time.
So we bought some from them, and
this is a lost yeast, a lost to time. This is some Indiana Jones shit,
right?
It is Indiana
What's
Jones.
Going on,
man? Way better than Nicolas Cage kind of shit.
Yeah, National Treasure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
that's wild, man.
Harrison Ford. But this beer, we were hoping to kind of prop the yeast and keep going with it. But we're not a lager brewery. We can really only do that at a certain time of year, and we have other commercial needs. The IPA has to pay the bills. So I think we're going to circle back to it because it's a really great beer, and I've been drinking it all summer and all spring. I like it a lot.
Is this the first time you've made it with that yeast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we brewed it in February, so it's not a young beer.
No.
But it's a lager. It'll hold, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't have much left. It's at kind of the end of its life cycle now.
Yep.
But I like it a lot, and I'm real proud of it. I think we did a great job.
Yeah, it's a tasty beer, man. And on the can it says it's 4.9, and it doesn't drink like that. I mean, it from the body, I would imagine this was. I mean, this is up in like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale territory as far as like mouthfeel and body. It's like
is a
rich.
medium-bodied beer, so it's in the middle. It's not high, it's not low.
No, but there is that roundness to it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the wheat will enhance that a little bit.
Yeah, this is a good beer, man. I'm telling you, it doesn't taste like 4.9, which you hear 4.9. Keller beer, lager, you expect it to be a little bit lighter in flavor and body, but that is not this beer. This is very
it's a farmhouse style.
It's a journey.
Yeah,
it's a journey.
This beer is definitely a journey, man. I like it.
We're really happy with it. We're not a lager people by any means. I like lager. I'd like to drink it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But for us, it's not the easiest thing to make. So
yeah,
we'll do it when we can, and hopefully we get to circle back to it at some point.
What kind of system are you running over there?
We've got a system from 1982.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Century Brewhouse 7-barrel direct fire system that we bought from a company in Albuquerque that used to be called Il Vicino.
Okay.
They've been around a long time now. They're called Canteen Brewhouse. They moved up to a 15, and when we opened, that happened to be something they were getting rid of.
Yeah. And the original business plan was a 1-barrel system, offset with tons of guest beer.
And we were going to do contract wort with Santa Fe Brewing because, we're good friends with them. And we were going to do a bunch of barrel aging stuff that we could just have them do 30-barrel batches of wort. They moved up to a 75-barrel system now. So they're much bigger.
Wow.
But at the time they were, they would still be willing to do it. But then when I came across this 7-barrel system for $19,000, I was like, hey, I think we need to talk about this because this could be a real change in our business plan. But, we control our own destiny versus having to live off of other people's contract wort. Contract brewers may not give a shit as much as we do. They're there for a job. Dude, let's smoke a joint.
Well, or at least at the minimum, they won't care like you would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They won't pay attention to the same things, maybe, or, who knows? Might be psychosomatic where you're just like, well, I made this, so therefore it's just inherently better. But even, 5-6 years ago, $19,000 for a 7-barrel system, I feel like is a really good deal.
It was a screaming deal, and
deal.
We couldn't pass it up. And I think it screwed over another brewery that was bidding for it at the same time, but they're fine.
Welcome to capitalism, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
We got there with the check first.
That's right.
So that was actually a good win for us.
Yeah.
And we've been using it ever since. We have to do a little work to it. I think the burner is about to go out, and we probably have to re-brick the firebox pretty soon. But, we've got 5 years in it so far, or almost 5 years. So
yeah. Make Mike do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll help him. I mean, I don't want to make him hurt too bad.
Who cares? I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to go get a couple more beers, and we'll be right back, and we'll jump in deeper into the beers that you guys offer. Sound good?
All right. Sounds
awesome.
good, JB.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, hang on real fast. This is The Session. We'll be right back.
You're tuned into The Session.
Because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
Hey, thanks for sticking around, everybody. We are back on The Session with Rowley Farmhouse Ales in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I have some new beers in front of me. I have the Petite Blanche and the Raz Tamna.
Rastamna.
Are those the next two beers? Because the other two beers are bottles, and I feel like those are something completely different. And so I think the cans should go first.
Let's do the cans.
Let's do the cans
because we've got the cans here too. And
all right,
why not?
All right,
we're gonna do the Petit Blanche first.
Yep, let's go. Ooh, man, I just popped that thing 2 feet from my face, and well, obviously not 2 feet, but wow,
it spit on you.
Fruity? No, the smell popped me in the mouth, man. Yeah, it looks good. Like blueberries.
Yeah, it's a blueberry beer.
There we go, blueberry.
It's not highly blueberry. I mean, I can't remember what it is. It's like a half pound per barrel kind of dose rate.
Yeah,
it's not high. It's not. We're not shooting for 5 pounds per barrel kind of thing.
Yeah, we don't want to cover up the foeder.
No, it's not barrel. It's 5 pounds per gallon when you talk about fruit. The barrel rate is when you talk about hops.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm a little off.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. No, the rates have to be correct. You can't just make up rate numbers.
Yeah, but
correct.
But why does it matter? Why would it be per gallon for one thing and per barrel for another thing?
I think that's just normally how they do it. Yeah.
Well, I've never heard that, so let's ask Chris Rogers.
I don't think he knows.
Chris,
Chris, go for it, buddy. Chris, what's the hopping rate for Bigfoot? Your favorite beer?
What's the preferred nomenclature for it? Okay, so tell me about this beer, man. It's a foeder fermented beer on blueberries.
Yeah, so we got 2 40-barrel foeders from Foeder Crafters. What year was that? 2018, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
2018, we decided we're going to try to do some base foeder beer.
Okay.
So not necessarily barrel-aged beer, but beer that could end up in a barrel from a foeder, just to have a kind of a sour beer capacity. Because with a 7-barrel system, we don't have a way to, we didn't want to do steel fermenters because that's, it's not what we're doing if we don't have to. So we decided we're going to buy 2 40-barrel foeders, which are probably a little too big, but
yeah, they barely fit.
We're also space limited. We're a small brewery with a small space, so we have to go up versus out. So we wanted to have some foeders that took up the volume in the Z direction instead of X and Y, because we just don't have the X. We don't have as much space as other places. So our plan was to use 2 different foeders for 2 different beers, stack them in and get them sour and treat it more like a Solera, where we pull some beer out, put some fresh beer in, and keep a constantly evolving culture in both those foeders. It took us a little while to get to the point where we're actually using them as a full foeder, because we're trying to keep up with our orders and other needs, and so we're using them like 7-barrel foeders for a while.
It helps strip some of the oak out too,
we did help strip the oak out. But this is our first full batch of a foeder beer, and I think we have a second one that's almost done as well. And then after that, we're going to have a third one in the fall, but we can get to that later. But the Petit Blanche is basically a beer blanche, which is a northern French version of a wit beer.
Okay.
So in the early 1900s, everyone was trying to compete with Pilsner. So Bohemian Pilsner had taken hold of the marketplace. Germans had decided, we have to compete with that. Let's make a German Pilsner. That was probably a little after. And then later on, the French and the Belgians were like, we need to make something like that. The Belgians had been making wit beer, and they were like, fuck that. We have wit beer. We're good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We don't.
That's exactly what they said.
Yeah.
Fuck that. We have wit beer.
Well, say that in Flemish. I don't know how to say that in Flemish, or French. But the northern French decided we need a light straw colored beer to compete with that, but we're not going to do lager, so we'll make a beer blanche. And so what that was at that time was a beer that was made. They actually rinse the grains out. It's a low gravity beer in the 3 to 5% range ABV. And, they had actually hopped it on the heavier side for those times, not compared to American IPA
okay,
or anything
sure.
like that.
Right.
And that's a style in northern France called beer blanche. It's very limited in terms of popularity. But when I started reading about this style, I thought, wow, this is fucking brilliant. This is what everyone needs in their life. A 4% beer that is easy to drink, that you can hop on the higher side. This version isn't hopped, but so our idea was to fill our foeder and then rotate in and out new batches, i.e. the Solera method. Take a batch out, fruit it. Brew a new batch, let it blend, take a batch out, dry hop it. Okay. And then do the same thing over and over, and then intermittently have a clean version with that, or not clean, but have an unfruited, unhopped version,
base version,
a table version.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that'll be the third one in this series. So this is actually the first one in the series. And, originally this was all going to be 750 milliliter bottles. The marketplace changes.
COVID
happens. People want different beer. So we end up doing 16-ounce can packages. So one thing we do that not a lot of breweries do is we can condition everything or bottle condition everything. So we don't do any forced carbonation of any kind.
Okay.
And so this beer, it's on the low side of carbonation because we don't want cans to blow up, because that can be
sure. That's a bad time. Yeah.
Oh, it's a bad time. Trust me. We fucked up our first couple batches and we paid dearly for that.
Yeah. I was going to say you get some free press out of that, but it sounds like you know about it.
Yeah. It's not good press,
but
you do.
It's a lot of card detailing bills,
detailing and those kind of things. We don't want to play those games. We want, so this beer is probably not as carbonated as I would envision it, but I think that's a compromise you make dealing with a 16-ounce can versus a bottle.
Wait, so when you had exploding cans, you would pay people's car detailing bills?
I think we had that once. Yeah. I think so. Our first,
asked,
good on you.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
we would do it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, no, come on. If you fucked up somebody's car, you should pay for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because usually you hear about that end result of a brewery, paying for this, because again, it happens all the time.
With what I call Kinder beer, the overly fruited, under fermented, under attenuated, children's beers.
Right.
This happens quite often. I'll tell you a story, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but we can circle back to this beer. I was at the Vale. In Richmond, this was December of 2019. I did a collaboration there with a meadery called Blackheath Meadery.
Okay.
And one of the things we did after the brew day was we went around to breweries that were local to the area, and we were hanging out. A group of my friends were there also, and this kid comes in. He's like a little short, fat kid. He got totally plastered with red shit all over the side of his shorts, his face, and his shirt. And he was bitching. He's like, I need to see a fucking manager right now. And, it was a Saturday. There's probably 50, 60 people in the brewery. And, a lot of people just hanging out, tasting beer. And, everyone starts looking, oh, what's going on here?
This guy sounds mad.
This guy's mad. And, he's like, I need to see the fucking manager right now. You guys got to pay for my car detail. And apparently he just bought a double raspberry Goza, and the cans blew up in his car on the way home.
God.
And the cans had a mention on them, the side that said, they have to be refrigerated. And so the guy at the bar is like, well, did you have them in a cooler? And he's like, well, no. He's like, well, it says on the can that you have to have them in the cooler. What the fuck? And the guy was like, oh, well, come on. I'm driving 20 minutes away. They shouldn't blow up my fucking car.
He's right.
Yeah, he's right.
He's absolutely right.
And then the kid's like, well, I need to see your manager. He's like, well, it's Saturday. There's no managers here. I suggest you come back on Monday. He's like, well, you guys need to pay for my detail. And he's upset. He's starting to get belligerent. And they're like, look, man, I'm sorry. I can't help you. Come back Monday. We'll, talk to the manager. His name's Todd. Talk to him. He'll take care of you. And he's like, fuck you guys. And he runs out. And I actually tried to run out and see the car. I wanted to see the car. He drove off in this Honda Civic.
Oh.
Which I didn't get to see the inside of the car, which I would have cracked up if I did.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, those things, those happen. Things happen. So we had a similar incident, not quite as bad. Our first set of cans were overcarbonated. So we to back up, we bought a canning line on
September of 19.
September of 19. So my partner Jeffrey, he's really cheap. He didn't want to pay for the stainless steel table it came with. He's like, John, can you make a table for this out of stainless? I'm like, yeah, I can. It's going to take a few weeks, it ended up being a month or two. And so I work with a bunch of fabricating people. So we could pretty much make anything.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's make a table. So we make a table, we get the thing going. And then literally COVID hits, like March 2020, everything shuts down.
Nice.
And we've got a canning line that's just about ready to go.
Yeah.
And so
we've done like 4 test batches, I think.
We had done some test batches, some forced carbonated beer. We didn't realize that we really wanted to do the can conditioning at the time. And we just like, oh, well, we have to move. All our draft business has stopped.
Yeah.
It just stopped. There was nobody buying kegs. We're like, oh, we got to do this canning line. That's the only way to get through this. And so we set it up, and our first batch of beer was actually a fucking brilliant batch of beer. But we overcarbonated it, and the cans explode.
It happens,
when they
man.
got warm.
But it sounds like took care of everybody, and that's good.
I think we did our best to try to attenuate the situation and try to make everyone happy. And if everyone had a problem, we were glad to help them. And I think we had another one, a raspberry germophile, which is our Berliner Weiss. That beer was a little bit not as bad as the Meyer, I think.
Yeah.
But so Meyer is a beer we won a gold medal with at GABF.
Oh,
it's a Goza that we mash with Meyer lemons in the mash to deal with the acid. Instead of acidifying the water, we use lemons to do that.
Okay, you cut them at all?
Yeah, we cut them in half.
Okay.
Half or quartered, either way.
Half or quarter, depending on the people in the kitchen that are willing to do that work.
For sure, yeah. It's like, bro, I got a lot of prep work to do. I'm gonna have these things.
Yeah, so
for you.
Sometimes they'll have it. Sometimes they'll.
It is also super nice having a kitchen that they have the knife skills that can just whip through 300 pounds of lemons in no time.
Yeah,
dude, our boy James is a master with the knife.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, he'll cut a bitch.
Don't piss him off.
Yeah,
don't piss off James.
Yeah,
because he's great.
I'm liking this beer, man. Sorry, I'm just gonna jump back to the beer real fast.
It's fine. So we diverged, but the point was to try to make a foeder beer.
Yeah.
That we can rotate, and this is the first rotation out of it.
Okay.
And we did.
What do you think of it?
A little bit of blueberry. I think it's great. I think the carbonation is a little bit lower than I would have liked.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of that is having to deal with cans versus bottles.
Okay.
If I had my way, I would do everything in 750 milliliter bottles.
Sure.
Unfortunately, the market doesn't really want that.
Yeah. Which is weird because like 8 years ago, that's all you could get.
Oh, it was the best.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And we still will do all of our barrel aged beer in the 750 milliliter format, as well as some, if we get to the Teosante, which is a green dent Saison or farmhouse ale.
Yeah.
Then you'll see that beer should be carbonated. It should be in a bottle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some things you just can't can them.
You're
not going to get 3 volumes plus out of a can. It's just not going to happen.
No. Or you're going to get a card detail bill from every customer who buys one.
Exactly.
These it's an interesting beer, man, because I pulled it right out of the fridge and tried it. And I'm while you're talking about it and like 4 other stories, I'm like, I don't really get any sour. It's not really sour. Maybe it's tiny bit tart. But,
it's a tiny tartness.
But as I warmed it up,
it doesn't.
But I warmed it up in my hands here. I was like doing this little old man thing, right?
Right.
And
You're
then
cupping it.
So about like 5 minutes later, even just a tiny bit warmer, I got the full expression of the beer. So to me, it's like, number one, that's a lesson learned for the other cans, but also there is such a light sourness to it that it doesn't take much to bring it out.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but so we do 2 things. We do a pH measurement on the beer. And what pH will tell you is it will tell you the unbound acid in beer, right? So pH is a measure of proton concentration in any acidic media. So when you get to sour beer, you have also other organic acids that are bound up, and they're found in other molecules. And so you need two measurements. You need a titratable or total acidity. So, you can argue that those aren't quite the same, but, in general, they're about equal. So your TA measurement will tell you the bound acids in solution. And so this beer has a pH of around 3.5.
3.3 on the side.
3.3. So 3.3, if you just have that number, you're like, oh, that's really sour. Oh my God, that's going to kill me.
Yeah.
But if you look at both the pH and the TA, you'll see the TA was what, like 4.6 grams per liter?
Yeah, 4.3.
So 4.3, 4.5, 4.6, those are very low numbers in terms of acidity.
Mm-hmm.
A very acidic beer, like a beer we have here, which is an actual golden sour beer, it's like, I can't find
15 or 16. It's pretty high.
Yeah, it's much higher. It's 4 times higher than this beer. So this beer has this acid.
Yeah.
It has funk from Brett, but it also is low acid. It's not high acid.
Yeah. Well, and this is the house culture. This is what John propagated as a home brewer.
Okay. Cool.
I think it plays really well with the blueberry tannins. Like the Brett perfectly accentuates it. And
it does. Yeah, it's a nice, even, happy beer. There's definitely some tannins, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh, I need to go brush my teeth because I feel like I have shit growing in my teeth.
Yeah, well, that's me all the time. But yeah, it's and usually we tell people all the time, it's like blueberries, you're not going to get a lot of flavor out of, which is true. And I don't get flavor necessarily, blueberry flavor, a ton of it out of this.
It's more of
beer.
The tannins.
It's the tannin. Yeah. It's the color. It is the aroma. The aroma plays well with the esters that your culture is doing, but there is a little bit of, blueberry sort of has a watery flavor to me, and I eat a lot of I love blueberries. They're delicious fruit, delicious berry. But I do think it was a good choice for this beer because I think the way your culture works, the way your fooder system is set up, the way everything's playing together, I think blueberry is the natural choice for something like this because it does round it out. The tannins do sort of bring out some of the sourness and some of the funk, and it plays really well together.
Well, thank you. We think it's it's a kind of a tertiary type of flavor, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's good. It's been selling like crazy. Like this whole batch is almost gone. I actually think we are out of cans. I think there's only draft left.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah. This is our first version of this, and we're real happy with it. And the next one's going to be a Nelson Sauvin dry hop version.
Yep.
Ooh, that'll be good.
Yeah.
How long until you put it in a slushy machine and serve it in August?
No, we're not kids. We're not kids.
No.
We're not doing that. So yeah, we talked a little bit about kinder beer and the childrenization of beer. Not a whole lot, but it's not something we support as a whole.
So I understand why people do it.
We get it. There's money in it, and it's a business decision on most breweries' behalfs.
Mm-hmm.
I think people, if they want to chase the lactose, great, go for it. I'm not your mom. I won't tell you what to do, but I don't drink that shit. I don't want that shit. I'm a fucking beer drinker. I'm not a child.
That's true. We did just have a blueberry beer from you though. So that's
okay. That's okay. There's no lactose.
The fuzzy math is look, I'm on your side. I agree, but it is very funny sometimes that like what we choose to draw the line at in beer culture.
100%.
That's fair.
It is funny.
Our line is drawn at lactose and over fruiting, and if the Teletubby took a shit in your glass.
Mm-hmm.
And you drank it, and there's like the purple remnants. That's too far.
That's too much. You're not going to do that.
Too much.
Do you guys do hazy IPAs?
We don't actually. We did a couple.
Okay.
We've actually stopped brewing the hazy.
Yep. We had a meeting and decided it's not our shtick. It's not our bag. We don't excel as well as others do at it. So let's do what we're good at.
Let people that want to do that and do better at that than us do it.
I appreciate it.
Actually. That. We're going to do a New Zealand Pale in its place.
Okay. That's cool.
West Coast New Zealand Pale. And we're going to rotate New Zealand hops. I think also the first one is Nelson. We have a Nelson contract, so let's use it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're not really big into the children's styles.
For sure.
So we do Berliner Weiss. We do Goza, but we don't lactose them. We don't overfruit them. There's no under attenuation.
Yeah.
We finish to dryness.
Yeah. They're live culture.
No kettle souring. So I think, we do it right. And we do it to our way, not everyone else's way.
I mean, there's something to be said for forging your own path in the industry. And, and like you guys were just saying, it's let other people do it. That's fine.
We're not kids.
Yeah.
We don't like kids beer.
Well,
We're
and
adults.
also
we want adult beer.
I mean, I think more importantly, it sounds like you have your hands full doing what you like to do in the first place. Yep. And you guys are doing just fine with it. Everything's going well. You guys have been around 5 years. There's no reason to sort of, detract yourself from doing something you enjoy.
Our brewer, Mike, he came from Kinder Beer.
Okay.
He brewed beer in Virginia with Peeps. He brewed beer. Maybe he didn't do Peeps.
He didn't do the Peeps one, but
he didn't do the Peeps. But
he since
all the stuff that they do, the marshmallows, the
Hershey's syrup, all
the stupid crap that doesn't belong in beer that belongs at the Cold Stone Creamery.
Right.
He had to deal with that, and it broke him.
Yeah, a bigger lactose budget than your grain bill.
Yeah, he actually said his lactose budget was higher than his grain bill.
Wow.
It broke the man, and the man was into Saison. He's into delicate flavors. He's into barrel aging, and he started the brewery with the intention of doing that. But then the owners saw the cash. Oh my God, you can buy that. We could sell that for $140 a case.
Yeah.
And they and I get it.
You can't blame them for wanting money.
You can't blame people for chasing the money, especially when you have bills to pay, you have people to cover, you have insurance to pay for, all this shit you have to pay for. Open a brewery and running a brewery is not cheap.
No.
So if that's your owner's shtick, fine, whatever. As long as the brewer can live with himself, then I think it's okay.
Or herself.
For us, that's not us. Yeah. That's not our thing. We don't want to do that. We don't want to, I don't judge other people for doing it.
Yep. Yeah.
But we're not going to do it ourselves. So our line is lactose. Our line is Teletubby schmutz in the glass. We don't do it.
Yeah. Well, hey, fair enough, man. Well, speaking of, I don't know, speaking of beer, I guess, I don't really know where I was going to go with that. The Ras Tamna I just popped is the Rye Baltic Porter.
We can try that.
Yeah.
You guys got that?
This is a new beer for us. This is the first time around for this.
That good color, man.
Yeah.
Tell me about Rye Baltic Porter, which again is not necessarily a style you see so much.
No, this is very unique. So Mike, his wife is Serbian, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And so he wanted to honor his grandfather on her side of the family, I guess, who is also Serbian. And so he wanted to brew a kind of farmhousey version of a Baltic Porter. So instead of going like sweet plum, raisin, those kind of
Baltic Porter flavors.
Baltic Porter type of flavors. That's not the word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like the Belgian candy sugar.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Dark candy sugar driven type of flavors, which you find a lot in English barley wine and really rich quads.
Yeah.
And also
like I have.
Baltic Porters. Oh, you're buff. Excellent.
I have rich quads. Yeah.
Rich quads. But so he wanted to do kind of a farmhouse inspired version of a Baltic Porter. So instead of going sweet and plummy and raisiny, he decided to sharpen it with a bit of rye. So 20% rye in the grist.
Wow. That's a lot of rye.
It's a lot. And he said it was a good brew day. And I honestly, I think it's kind of a nice mix between what you expect out of a Baltic Porter, and what you may have possibly seen in the past, in a simpler time before the cell phones.
Yeah, and I think the finish comes off almost hoppy, but it's just the rye pepper like rising through the finish.
Yeah, I was just about to comment on that finish because it is very interesting. It is almost, like a rye bread, there is a sort of like dark crust pumpernickel kind of thing, but I feel like
pumpernickel is a good description. I think I
feel like the rye sort of elevates the mouthfeel beyond the sweetness. Yeah. So you can have a little bit maybe of residual sugar in there and not have it be overly cloying or whatever, because that rye sort of cuts through that on its own. It is a very unique Baltic Porter.
It's a unique take on the style, and I think he nailed it. And I think it's a good honor for his grandparents on the mother's side.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's a cool beer, and it's not something you'd see on a regular basis. And honestly, it's probably not really a fit for us. As
style wise.
Yeah, style wise, I think it's a little more unique than we might have normally done. But at the same time, there's a lot of Baltic farmhouse history. The Kvike and the styles that you see in Estonia that don't really make it into the overall lexicon, so to say.
Especially American.
Definitely American styles.
So
it's kind of fun. And it's a beer, I thought that it was a good idea to do.
Yeah, it's great. You should do this with a Kvike yeast.
There you go.
So we have used Kvike yeast a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
But
all right.
as we kind of went away from it. The reason being is as can conditioning people, the Kvike tends to be hyper attenuative, and it tends to over carbonate our beer in the cans.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah.
So we found that as much as I like it and as much as I want to use it, if it's a beer we're going to can, we probably won't use it.
Yeah. So do you not do just draft only? Is everything that you make go into cans in some fashion?
So it's usually a mix. There are some beers that are draft only. I don't know if we have one here tonight, but
no. We'll usually like double batch IPA, and half goes to cans, half goes all to draft.
Right.
Okay. I mean, that I could see.
Yeah.
So we don't typically do. There are a few one-offs, and you could. There's still a space for it, I think.
Yeah.
But I think with the can conditioning, it's not going to really be a thing for us.
Yeah. Well, maybe in like 6 months when we get more people vaccinated and out and drinking beers again. Maybe when the draft market picks
I'm all
back
for it.
up.
I like the yeast a lot. We have our own strain that we banked with BSI that I really like.
Wow. I like the Kvike yeast. I don't know. I literally used it one time, but I've heard it. Or Jesus Christ. I've drinking it on Dr. Homebrew several times. People sending in beers. And it's very, very weird. And just from my own experience, I just sort of put two and two together. Either over time, the yeast sort of like gives this sort of tart, character to it, or I have a contamination in my life. Yeah. Like I'm such an asshole. I didn't even consider that I did a poor job cleaning my beer line. And so maybe there's something in there or whatever. You know what I mean? Or my keg or whatever,
I think
right?
It does just go tart. So I think you're okay.
It does, right?
Yeah,
but
I would lean towards that.
Yeah, the way that yeast sort of plays with the tartness and in a dark grain setting.
It's a really great thing.
I like it. It's like plummy, cherry.
I want to use it more than we really can.
Yeah. I would do this. I would do your IPA in it too. I would do this beer and I would do an IPA with it.
Yeah, we've done the IPA quite a bit.
With Kvike yeast? Was it good?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm good. I'm a genius. I know things that have already been done by people.
Right? Yeah, it's great in the summer when our glycol chiller doesn't like getting things below 100, so you can just let it rip at 100 and
damn.
You're
good
in 11 days.
Temperature dependency is a big thing.
Sure. Let me take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to wrap things up. I got 2 bottles to pop.
You got to try the bottles.
And I feel terrible because it's me and I got these giant bottles to
well, you can save them for. Are you at the Concord location now?
No, I'm at my house.
You're at your house. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say just bring them out to the customers. Say, hey, here you go.
Oh yeah, no, we're remote for at least the rest of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I've been to your location. I like it a lot.
Oh, good.
I actually met Tasty there, and I had a good time drinking with him.
Oh, nice. R.I.P.
So, R.I.P.
Cheers,
Tasty. I'll
Cheers.
drink to Tasty.
All right. We'll be right back, everybody. Hang on. It's the session.
Segmented, demented, fermented.
It's the session.
All right, we're going to get back into drinking some Rowley Farmhouse beers here. We have John and Tyler still on the line, and I have 2 750 ml bottles in front of me. One has a label, and one I'm concerned about because it's just written in like blue, like grease pen.
Yes.
So, it's not grease. It's actually a paint pen. We got the same problem here.
Oh, yeah. Paint pen. All right. Well, there you go.
So I did send you guys a label art for this bottle. I don't know if Bevo gave it to you or not.
No, she did not. Was it via email?
It was in the email I sent to you guys.
I'll look at it.
So this is a label we haven't got yet. It's actually a really cool label. So I was hoping you would show it if you could.
Well, I'll look for it right now.
But if you don't have it, fine. It's not a big deal.
I don't have it.
It's a OneDrive link.
Oh, okay. Then I will get that. Well, which beer are we talking about first? And then
that was Teo Sante that I'm talking about.
Teo Sante. Is that the first beer we should try?
I don't know.
I think so, because the other one's more acidic.
The other one's more acidic. It'll probably ruin the palate a little more.
Okay.
It's actually a better story there, I think, than this one. So let's do this one first.
Oh, there it is. There's the label. Rio Sante.
Teo Sante.
Teo Sante. Where did I get Rio Sante from? I do like it. I can't show it on the screen.
Maybe you can show it later or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's a cool label.
So it's a really nice label. So Teo Sante is what is kind of the name for the kind of the origins of corn.
Okay.
So if you go back in history, there's a grass that's grown in Mexico that they believe was the origination species of corn. So we wanted to kind of celebrate heirloom corn. So what we did was I did a little research. That's kind of a bitch to open. I apologize.
I got it just fine. But see, I did it. I did it very calmly. I did it the French method. I didn't pop it like some ham-fisted heathen over there like Tyler did. I just broke it against the wall, brother. I don't know.
So one thing you notice, it does have a nice head to begin with, but it falls very fast.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I poured it and it looked like yours. It was big and white, and then I commented. And then I looked down and it's just gone.
It's gone. So that was one. I don't know if I called a mistake, but so this beer is basically Oaxacan green dent corn grown locally here in New Mexico.
Okay.
At a clip of 40% of the grist, so it's quite a bit. And then the rest is 6 row. I think we use RAR for this beer.
When you say it's a grass that they think is the origin of corn, what is it? What does the grain look like? Does it look like corn kernels?
Yeah, it sort of does, but it's not quite as it's not quite as much of a husk as corn is. So the name is really just kind of an honorary term for corn. So we wanted to like show the origins of corn. And so this is an heirloom corn beer. It's a high corn percentage, 40%. In retrospect, I probably would have added a bag of dextrin malt to this beer just to give it a little fluff. I didn't think of it at the time, and I didn't know, even though it's very low acidity, this also is like on the order of 5 grams per liter of acid, bound acid. pH is on the same ballpark, 3.5, 3.2, something like that. It's not super acidic. I think this beer, since we did add about 12 IBUs, is going to drive more towards Brett, and then over time it will sour. But so with our culture and other people that do mixed culture beer, they can sort of tune the beer where they want it to go in terms of Brett versus sourness by adding IBUs, because IBUs will attenuate sourness. If you want a really sour beer, you can just not add any hops and have zero IBUs.
Attenuate sourness, meaning it'll strip some of that. The amount of hops in there will decrease the amount of sourness.
Yeah, it just won't allow it to form.
Okay.
So I'm using attenuation more in a scientific sense than a brewing sense. But attenuation is basically limiting. Whoops, sorry. It's the limiting.
John's knocking shit over now.
Yeah, right.
I'm kind of a bull in a china shop normally.
Yeah.
So that's just how I am. I'm from New Jersey. I throw my arms around and shit. Well, I'm not from New Jersey. I went to high school there.
Well, close enough. Technically, you went there and you came out of it, so you were from. I was just clarifying that. I understood the attenuation thing. I didn't take it literally. Okay. I guess I did.
Yeah, so you can kind of tune our culture towards Brett, or you can tune it towards sour by adding or withholding IBUs. In this beer, we were kind of in the middle. We wanted to have it bready, but then we thought over time it will probably be more sour. But in the beginning of this is a young beer. We haven't even got the labels yet for it, which is why I sent you the art for the label.
Yeah.
But it's in process. It's in printing. We've bottled it. It's bottle conditioned. We just haven't labeled it yet. Normally we try to do that all at once, but this was one that we slacked a little bit on. We're waiting for the art. Things take time.
You got to do it. It's all right.
Yeah, no, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it's on point. Sometimes it's like, oh, we gotta wait an extra 2 weeks, whatever. Yeah. But that art is fantastic. I think it's really good. It's not gaudy. It's clean. This is
clean, simple, stated.
Yeah, it's like a relief drawing.
Really simple beer.
Yeah.
We're not shooting for the moon here. We're shooting for let's honor kind of old corn in New Mexico, and we found this farm that grows this Oaxacan green dent corn, and dent corn is usually meant for feed, but this is actually being used in culinary applications for food, for making unique tortillas, that kind of thing. And we're like, oh, you know what? Let's make a beer out of this.
It really is fun. like the historical hipsters that drive the food market.
I bet they loved it.
And this is kind of the same thing where it's like, oh, and then beer poaches off that or vice versa. There's a lot of interplay
maybe
between
I'm a
that.
poacher. I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
I don't know. Maybe, but I'm saying like it's that interplay between food and beer that's always been there. It's always been there.
Part of our business too is we have a restaurant. We are very big into having food as a part of beer.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just brewers. We have a full package. Our partner Jeffrey, he's a renowned chef. He does really great stuff. So we really want to kind of bring the two together, and not just think about everything is beer or everything is food, but let's have a good experience. Come to our place, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
But we also want to have fun with beer. And that's really where Tyler and I are more, we're in the back. We're not in the front.
Yep.
Sure.
For good reason.
Yeah. And that's fair. I've got a New Jersey mouth. I will admit.
No, that's true.
No, I was raised in that way, and that's not always pleasant for people. I try my best to not be a dick about it.
Hey man, you know what? We're all going through life the best that we can, man. And if you can't have a little understanding about your fellow man, then what good are you?
Have a good time.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, so this is your first round doing this. What would you change anything?
I think the only thing I would change at this point would be to add some dextrins to the grist.
Okay.
So that could be wheat. That could be Sonoran white wheat would be really working for that. I don't want to take away from the corn though. So I'd probably add a bag of crisp dextrin malt. A little bit to keep the head up. Cause it's not a super acidic beer. No. There is acid in the beer. It's not a lot, but it's there. It's a nice blend. I think, you get a funky front. You get a little bit of a horsey type of funkiness that, kind of blends down to sour, but there's a little bit of a corn front in there too. And I like it.
It's a unique,
especially as it warms. Yeah.
It's a new beer. You're not going to find it very many places.
No. And I do like that. And the first time I've really heard about people brewing with these sort of like ancient grains was on like an episode of Heads and Tails that Warren and I did a couple years ago with distilleries using like butcher corn or butcher's corn or whatever.
The
red corn.
Butcher.
Yeah. And then that's sort of like
grows that too.
Oh, cool. It was weird, man. And like, I don't know if it's one of those things where if you think about something, then you see that everywhere versus like, oh, it really just happened. You learned about it ahead of the curve. Right. But it's now everywhere where there's a lot of people
brewing.
Of
the curve here. It's just one of those things. It's like, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I meant just for me personally, right? Like just seeing it within the industry. Like now there's a push or an interest in brewing with ancient grains, brewing with like hyper regional ingredients.
Oh, we've
and I think that's great.
For a long time.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
It's
and
fun for us. We have a lot of cool things in the Southwest that you don't see in a lot of places.
Yeah.
You definitely don't see Oaxacan green dent corn in New Jersey.
No. Yeah, no, okay.
No offense to New Jersey folks, because you guys got the best pizza. At least you have something to fall back on.
Jersey, I've never heard of a New Jersey style pizza. You get Detroit,
I haven't either. JP.
New York, Chicago.
The pizza in New Jersey is world class. I will give them that.
What's Detroit style? What's New Jersey style pizza?
It's the same as New York pizza. It's just across the river.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, it's just the same.
Just making sure
exactly the same.
it gets thrown at you instead of served.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you guys. That kind of thing. No, it's not like that.
Yes,
maybe it is. It could be.
Maybe.
You don't know. It depends how much you piss the owner off.
There you go. About that beer is interesting because it almost tastes fruited. Mm-hmm. It almost tastes like peach or apricot or
it does, but there's
like
absolutely
green
no fruit in this beer.
Like green nectarine almost, just like this
it's got a fruitiness that's kind of intrinsic to it, but yeah, it's a real simple beer. It's 40% Oaxacan green dent corn grown in San John, New Mexico, which is middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's right on the border of Texas.
Oh, New Mexico.
And,
you said it.
It's still New Mexico. And it's 6-row, 60% 6-row. And then I think it's a little bit of Magnum hops.
Probably.
60-minute edition. We do a lot of Magnum because it's a clean bitter. And you don't have to add a lot. It's not a hop forward beer. Right. And our house mixed culture, that's it. It's very simple. But it's cool because you can get a lot of different cool flavors from very, very simple beers. I like that a lot. So I take kind of the Denny Kahn type of philosophy when it comes to brewing.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be, if you're going to add an ingredient, there has to be a reason to add it. It's not like you add shit, just because it's a kitchen sink beer and I have a bunch of this shit in my fucking garage that I got to get rid of.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I mean, because a lot of it is not really there for a reason.
Yeah.
But if you have a reason to put it in, go ahead, put it in. But if there's no real reason to put it in, then don't do it. Keep it simple.
Agreed.
I'll see if I can redeem myself for you, JP.
Please do.
This beer is really good. You're going to like this one.
We're opening the next one, by the way. What's this one called, John? While Tyler struggles
to do Reverie de Petch.
While Tyler struggles to do something gentle.
Right? God damn it.
Did you do it? I didn't hear it pop.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Tyler talk about this beer because it's really his grandmother's name is Reve.
Reve. Yeah.
Reve. Sorry.
Wow. You guys are close friends.
This was a beer that he designed in her honor based on a cocktail that she drank.
Yeah.
Oh, see, this is now you're talking my language, baby. Let's go. Here we go.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna steal the thunder of Tyler here.
So you got a honeystuck one like our Teo Sante bottle.
So yeah, sometimes they get stuck.
No, I wasn't stuck. I got it,
He's
baby.
A professional.
Well,
JP is a professional.
I've been using my grip strengthener, so I'm able to really, this is the modern day fidget spinner that came out 2 years ago.
Too.
Yeah, well,
strong hands are good.
All right, well, so my
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll gloss over
Reverie de Petch.
My grandparents would get after it in the 60s and came up with their own cocktail.
They came up with their own cocktail. I love it.
Yeah. It was, I won't give the ratios because it's a family secret, but
shut up. It is not. Tell me the fucking recipe.
All right.
I don't know.
Fine.
Email it to me because I actually would love to make it.
Yeah.
Please, if you wouldn't mind.
Actually made it for us. It's really good.
Yeah, you got to have a good blender. That's the key. Is a good blender.
I got
you
one.
can't use that like Star-Kissed fucking blender that you got from Home Depot for $17.
Yeah, a Ninja won't cut it. You got to have a top tier blender here.
Top tier blender.
Okay.
It's 151, which they don't make anymore.
Yeah.
Still use the heavy duty stuff.
Thanks, Bacardi. But so just get something strong.
So like an overproof. 151
overproof
is
rum.
Yeah. Yeah. I have tons of overproof rum, so I'm right with that.
You're good to go.
Yeah, so you're good to go.
All right.
Half a can of frozen lemonade concentrate.
Okay.
Fill up the rest of that half a can with rum.
I love it already, dude.
Yeah. And 2 peaches.
Okay.
Whole, just take the seed out, leave the skins on.
Sure.
And enough ice to make it slightly thicker than a 7-Up slushie.
God damn it.
So this is your slushie. Right here is your slushie.
Love it so much.
Yeah. And my dad glommed onto this and has continued it through the journey because my grandmother's 90 now. My grandfather's, rest in peace. So my dad's kind of kept this going, and it's kind of the family drink.
Hail the elders.
Yeah. And
beer's good.
I wanted to make a beer for it. So like it was going to be her 90th birthday, and we did that. So there's
we did that.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah. I asked John, and he's like, Jeffrey's not going to like the fruit bill in this, but okay.
Fuck it. So we have like an accountant mentality on this side, and then we have a brewer mentality on this side.
Yeah.
And there's always a little bit of a kind of a push pull there.
Yep.
But the brewers don't really care about costs as much as the accountants do.
Sure.
This beer was definitely the accountants lost.
Yeah.
They have to every now and then just to keep them honest, man. Yeah.
And this is one we used
536 pounds of.
Yeah, we use a lot of peach.
Right, Colorado peaches.
Wow.
We went after it. We actually added more after the fact.
Yeah.
We're like, this isn't enough. I think we got like 400 something pounds.
Something like that.
And then we're like, you know what? That's not enough. Let's just add more. And then I think we got another probably 100-ish pounds.
Yeah. There's a farmer from Colorado that sells here in Santa Fe, and we use him for almost everything we can. And he's like, I'll bring you guys a whole pallet of seconds. Like, here you go, ready to go.
They were still really good.
Who cares what they
you
look
could have
like?
sold them at a farmer's market. Nobody would have said anything.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't look like second styles.
They didn't look like anything trash.
I would have just eaten them all and just gassed everybody out of the building.
They were so good.
Yeah.
That was, taste the beer, man.
Well, I am, but you won't shut up, John.
Okay. Sorry, I'm bad.
So yeah, I spent 18 months in rum barrel. It's just golden sour.
Wow.
Put 50 pounds of lemons in the mash, just regular lemons. I stole the Meyer concept.
Okay. Yep.
And then after 15 to 18 months, I forget, in rum barrel, I got a copious amount of peach, and here you go.
Where'd you get the rum barrel from?
They were from Rocky Mountain Barrel Company, but they were from St. Croix. So rum barrels are
rough.
Rum barrels are typically pretty shitty.
Yeah. Okay.
They tend to be rode hard, put away wet kind of barrels.
Sure.
Yeah. Put away dry in this case.
Or
they're
very dry.
They're secondhand, anyways, right? They're not. They're never new.
So rum guys usually use old bourbon barrels that end up getting into the Caribbean or wherever they're at, and they use them over and over and over. These barrels were actually pretty good. The rum barrels we had before that
leak like a sieve.
Yeah, we don't typically use rum barrels just because of their shitty nature.
Yeah.
So if you find some good ones, that's great. And I think these ones were pretty good. The ones we used before that were used so many times, they actually had a wood chip ratio listed on the head. Like they actually added wood chips
to get the flavor that they needed because they were so neutral.
Like 2 pounds, 2 pounds wood chips.
Love it.
Like spray painted on the head. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
They flogged hard, put away wet kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you told Rocky Mountain, like, I need ones that hold.
I need
liquid.
ones that hold liquid. Can you get me real ones? And, the guy, Thomas at Rocky Mountain Barrel Company is really good. He's not the only guy I deal with, but I like him a lot. He's, if they get fucked up, okay, I'll replace them or something. He stands behind his product.
Well, that's good. That's cool, man.
He's good. So rum barrel is not our normal thing. We have used them a couple times, and if you get some good ones, I'm all for using them again.
The peach aroma in this beer is
so peachy.
You get that. I'm only going to call it like the white fuzz on the peach. Like it's smelling a peach.
Oh yeah,
not a peach cut up or anything like that, but like just you smell a peach.
It's a good way to describe
unbroken.
it.
It's very.
Honestly, I think
weird,
this
man.
Beer, the beer, a lot of fruit flavors fall off and they fade over time.
Yeah.
I think this beer has actually come up.
My dad actually, when I first gave my parents a couple bottles, he was like, I don't know, it's a little too sour for us.
I think the peach flavor has spoken up.
Did you scream like coward at him?
Yeah. I did.
Actually. All right, good.
2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he texted me. He was like, I think that beer is fucking great now.
Yeah, our culture is like that though. It
goes through cycles.
It tends to come and go, and then probably like 6 or 8 months into a bottle conditioning, it really starts to wake up.
Yeah.
How old is this beer? When you say
not new, I mean,
it was I think 15 months in barrel. I'll caution on the younger side.
That's fine. 15 months in barrel, and then how long in the bottle?
It's probably been in the bottle for what, 8 or 9 months. It was last year.
Because I sent her some for Christmas, so I got pictures of my grandmother with
fruit
bottles.
like last August, I think.
How did your grandma love it?
She loved it a lot.
Yeah,
and just the fact that she can approach like this kind of a sour beer is pretty cool.
Yeah. Does it?
And she's definitely taken aback with a beer named after her or with her name in it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it compare with the drink? How close is it to the drink?
There's less rum character and it's more sour, but it's pretty damn close. Like the lemons and peach go together.
They do go together. You wouldn't expect it. So yeah, Tyler made that drink last year, I think, when we had peaches.
We made it for 4th of July.
We were blown away. It was like, oh, dude,
because they were all like,
sounds good,
3 ingredients. This can't be good.
No, everyone thought it was going to suck, and then we all had cocktails. We're like,
basically, rum and citrus were just sort of born together, and then you add a sweetness to it, whatever it could be, and that's just the basis for any good cocktail. So,
and then you make it a slushy that you can drink when it's 100 degrees outside, and
I mean, basically you got. I mean, I've had cocktails similar where it's like a blended aged like Jamaican rum and like a peach liqueur with lemon juice and then like some demerara syrup or something like that, right? That would be a classic cocktail, maybe even probably a tiki themed cocktail. Mm-hmm. So it's just that same sort of like concept. But that the sour culture again that you guys have is it seems really dynamic, where it sort of does play to the strengths of the beer that you guys are putting into it, and this does work really well.
I'm
very good. Yeah, that peach characteristic coming out is just amazing.
There's not a lot of peach beers that speak out like that.
Yeah,
no, and again, this is the full peach. It's not just like it tastes like peach nectarine or it tastes like peach juice or whatever, right? A peach candy. No, this tastes like a peach.
Yeah, and we did use pits as well.
Yeah, we typically add like a third of the weight percent in peach pits.
I've heard this before too. Yeah, because there is some of that characteristic that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
it's not like cherries where you get that amaretto flavor, but it just gives so much more peach oomph to it. I don't know the reason. I don't know what
tertiary kick.
Yeah. Chris,
just a little extra.
Chris wants to know, Tyler, if your grandparents had a top tier blender back in the 1700s.
Because it wasn't quite the 1700s.
You made a big stink about top tier blenders. So
they did.
No, it's important.
They stomp with their feet and spun blades around, hand sharpened.
They're like whirling dervishes, but we just in the peach in the peach orchard or whatever.
Exactly,
American ninjas.
I got it. Yeah. Wow, good beer.
Sunbeam in the 60s, that was a good brand. Now it's Walmart garbage, but
look, man, we don't all stand the test of time.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good beer. I like it. And this was a good beer to end on too.
Yeah.
It's our last beer to drink, and it was good stuff.
We made it through 5, so
we did 5. That's good.
Yeah, we did all right. Was there one more? There wasn't one more. That was it, right?
No, I think that's the
that was it. Okay,
thankfully, yeah.
Good. All right, John, where can everybody learn more about Rowley Farmhouse Ales, please?
So we're on Facebook. That's kind of the main thing here in New Mexico, and we're at Rowley Farmhouse Ales. He likes that.
Yeah, he does like that.
He does like that.
In New Mexico,
JP?
like it's just some other fucking planet.
It's just a New Mexico thing.
Yeah. I don't
know if you've heard of this thing called Facebook.
Yeah, it's really big out here, but
New Mexico.
You probably wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
New Mexico Facebook, we're Rowley Farmhouse Ales. So that's kind of a team effort. Tyler's on there. I'm on there.
Yeah, some front house people on there.
Our bar manager Ebby's on there. Used to be our mayhem coordinator Elisa, but she's not really involved as much now.
Good. Facebook sucks, dude.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Get your website up.
I do it when I do it. So Rowley Farmhouse is their website, rowleyfarmhouse.com.
Okay.
We have a really shitty website.
Yeah.
I will admit.
I was going to I noticed
I just had a meeting with Jeffrey today.
But the website is moving forward.
There's like 18 notes for the redesign.
Nice.
And then it'll go live. So
there's a new guy working on it. And eventually we will have a legitimate website.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
At this point, it's still fairly shitty. And it was something that Jeffrey, our partner, did himself. He has no HTML skills. He has no idea what's going on with that.
It's kind of one of those things where like you can do it, you can get it set up, but it's maintaining
Wix, whatever you build your own website for $5. You saw the commercial on TBS,
right?
Whatever it is, it's like that. But it's getting better, and we're actually putting effort into it.
Nice.
At some point, it will be live.
Yeah.
It's not
sometime
live
this year.
Sometime this year.
Cool.
So that's good.
Yeah, great.
That's moving in the right direction. So Facebook, I do the Instagram. It's
good. You should.
Rowley Farmhouse on Instagram.
I think
it's only me.
I think all breweries are like conditioned to be Instagrammable no matter what.
Oh yeah.
I do. It's basically my travels and my collaborations and art. Whatever we're doing, is kind of fun. I'll post it. Mm-hmm. There's also one called Rowley Funhouse, which is the brewers having fun, making fun of me.
Oh, good.
I'll follow and that's fun. So Rowley Funhouse on Instagram is very.
I took a fourth wall picture earlier and just posted that we were doing this on that. So.
Nice, man.
Rowley Funhouse. We also have a Twitter. I don't know what it is. Twitter sucks. It's a fucking cesspool of fucking hate.
Yep.
We don't really do much of that. So our new bar manager Ebby is going to start doing that. So maybe it'll improve. But Twitter sucks in general.
Twitter's hard. It's hard. Like. For a medium for restaurants or breweries, you don't need it. Well, you don't need it. You're going to get more engagement on. You're going to get more engagement on Instagram, and then on Facebook.
Yeah, we do that
because it's such a visual thing.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely visual. And besides that, what else? TikTok, we don't do any of that shit. We're fucking adults.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's how you can reach us, or use a goddamn phone.
Dude, yeah,
that's true.
Call
yeah, but what
428-0719.
What are we gonna do? Call up that number and go, hey, I just want to know what the brewery looks today. Yeah, I mean, I want to. Do me a favor, text me a picture of you guys canning beer.
Yeah, I'm just fucking around.
Ebby in the front house will
that'd be amazing,
dislike us saying that, but
yeah,
okay,
it's all good.
Call for reservations. Cool. Parties over 6. Otherwise, don't.
If you have a party over 6, call the number 505-41. Oh, so far. Sorry. Well, 428-0719.
There you go.
Otherwise, just hang out, have a good time, see us at festivals, and come say hi.
Sounds good to me. All right, boys. Easy. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and thanks for the beer. I'm going to have fun drinking it, and I will.
And I hope you enjoyed our little farmhousey kind of thing.
I do, yeah. I definitely want to spread some of this out with like the Dr. Homebrew folks, especially that Rye Baltic Porter, because we have a hard time getting them. So I think it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. Rowley Farmhouse Ales. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Facebook, listening live. I really appreciate it. Well, mainly just Chris.
So one thing for Chris Rogers, if you are willing to support his addiction to Bigfoot, I would say please send him bottles. So I don't know if you know, but Chris does a daily chug of Bigfoot on Barley Wine is Life, which is a Facebook group dedicated to shenanigans and barley wine stupidity.
Okay, a daily Bigfoot chug.
He does. So his goal is to chug a Bigfoot every day this year in 2021. And I think he's at like 180 days or whatever we are now. We're probably not at 180 yet, but 156. I don't know what his number is.
Okay.
But he's trying to chug one every day. He can't afford to buy them every day, and Ken Grossman hasn't been willing to send him free beer.
What is it called? Barley Wine is Life?
So there's a group on Facebook called Barley Wine is Life.
I'm sorry. If you're not in it already, JP, I'm sorry.
I'm not in it.
It's a shenanigans type of barley wine group. Chris is probably the number one poster on that group.
Of course. Well, he's the number one poster in this fucking show too.
He's an active individual. Not in a I'm going to go run 5 miles kind of day, but in a I'm going to chug 3 barley wines kind of day. And I love the kid, and I want to support him as best I can. So if you can, I told Chris what he needs is a Patreon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And set up a Patreon. I think he's too lazy and barley wine driven to do that.
What he needs to do is he needs to put it on TikTok. That's a TikTok thing.
Oh, there you go.
He's like,
he can start BIL on TikTok.
Barley wine.
Well, because I looked on Facebook. I don't see it. I see a Barley Wine is Life group, but there's no posts, and it's just some stupid Star Trek photo. So
that's probably it.
Chris, send me the link, Chris. I'll send it to Byron and see what he thinks.
So Chris, I'm trying to do my best to support you in your quest to chug 365 Bigfoots. I mean, I can't really help you other than trying to put it out there. So if you guys can help Chris, maybe he gets a Patreon and gets his shit together. That would be great.
He really should.
I think, yeah, why not?
Chris,
I mean, it's not what I would do.
Well, no, but
yeah.
you know,
I love the kid. I want him to thrive. And if that's how he needs to get attention,
I want him to thrive by slowly poisoning himself daily.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, quickly poisoning himself.
Well, it's true. Yeah.
If that's how you thrive, then that's great. Go for it. I love you, buddy.
All right, boys. Thanks a lot. Again, I appreciate it.
Thanks, JP.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy and winning the race. JP does great as his charity case.